to infinity and beyond.
This is me. This is how I win.
Were you rushing or were you dragging? Answer!
You're a wizard, Harry.
Say what again? Say what again? I dare you.
No, I am your father.
Hasta la vista, baby.
Are you not entertained? Are you not entertained?
And here we go.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back inside the film room. Zach Owens here with Johnny Sobchak. Johnny, how good does it feel to be back?
We are back.
Back.
That is
So back.
That is the tone to set, because September has been a drought to a degree, but
For both the
October-
podcast and the cinema.
Yes, October though is right around the corner, and to say that there's a surplus of items on the way, whether it's TV or film, is an understatement. So it's exciting, and hopefully we can get back into our groove.
Exactly. We apologize off the top that we have been MIA for the past couple of weeks. We haven't been on a podcast since we reviewed Shang-Chi back at the beginning of the month. Specific apology to longtime listener Michelle Lawler. We know that every Monday or Tuesday morning, whatever day we release, you're avidly refreshing that Apple Podcasts feed, and we have been letting you down. But we are back. The podcast is back, and it's time to get down to business. We've got some news that we're gonna make up on. Of course, there's gonna be some Dune news that Johnny's gonna have to fill us in on over the last couple of weeks. We've got a fall TV preview because, as Johnny alluded to, it's been a bit of a drought on the cinema side of things. So we are turning our heads to the small screen, and we've got a special guest who we're bringing in the big guns because, Johnny and I watch TV, but we're movie guys. But our good friend Avery Thompson, fellow Tar Heel, good friend of the pod, entertainment director at Hollywood Life. She is the biggest TV fan that I know, and she's going to be joining us a bit later for our fall TV preview, where we're basically going to talk everything from now to the end of the year. So we're fudging a little bit when we say fall. But before all that, as always, it's been a couple weeks. What's going on, Johnny? How's life?
It has been so busy and just hectic, and not on the movie front, of course, but just with work and among other things. It's been a lot to take on, but I'm glad that we're back in the show, and we have a lot to look forward to. I'm like, this next month, it could be.
You've been waiting your entire life for one particular thing this next month, but on top of that, it's going to be a great couple other movies as well, hopefully.
Yeah, I mean, the movies, Succession's coming back, DC Fandom, part 2 is going down, new Batman trailer, all that stuff. Like, I'm gonna be living 100%, and of course it's spooky season too.
Of course.
I have yet to watch a single spooky item, which is not, it's not too crazy because it's still September technically, but that's something that I'm looking forward to as well, and the weather changing and all that fun stuff.
Right. I mean, I feel like you're also spookier than most person. You and I remember last year, like that was when you and Reagan did your haunting binges, and
Yes,
I feel like you are like an every night kind of guy when it comes to a spooky TV show or movie. So
yeah,
I'm
absolutely.
excited for that as well, but I know you are, so that's exciting.
Yes, sir. What about you?
On my end, I've been it's been up and down because I've been riding the highs and lows of football season. The Panthers are luckily 3-0. That's been my high, but the lows have been the Tar Heels, unfortunately. 2-2, after the offseason hype, top 10 team, Heisman candidate, I know that you feel the same pain. You're not as invested as I am, but you are able to understand the same pain as a Tar Heel. But it's been disappointing to say the least. But I will say that the Tar Heels are 2-0 when Zach Goins is in attendance at a football game, and they're 0-2 when I am not. So I think Mac just needs to get me on the plane, have me travel with the team, and all the problems will be solved.
And don't add anything of material value, just to be on the plane.
Right. It's all superstition. I'm not giving a speech. I'm not, like doing any sort of coaching or anything. I'm just there.
Right. There you go.
But other than that, on the movie side of things, similar to you, I haven't seen. So I saw Shang-Chi, obviously we reviewed it at the beginning of the month, but since then I've gone once for the 20th anniversary of Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone. I saw that on the big screen, which was like, I'm 99% sure I saw that as a 5-year-old child in the theaters. Cause I know I saw the second one, and I know I saw, like the Star Wars Attack of the Clones, which was, I believe, 2002. So like I was going to the movies at that time, and I know that I saw it as a child. So anyway, it was good to revisit that for the first time since potential first time ever, but maybe first time since I was 5, on the big screen. And so that was very cool to get to check that out. But since then, I haven't watched anything at the theater or at home. I've been on some TV grinding, but nothing too crazy here.
Yeah, no, that's that's fun. It's always fun to go check out old movies at the theater. I haven't done that in a long time, but I have had, several fun experiences. And I know, with Harry Potter in particular, I feel like I remember seeing the second one in theaters, and I'm pretty sure I saw the first one in theaters as well. Although that would have been over when I was living in Europe. I'd have to go back and
it was a
ask
more
my parents.
authentic experience.
Oh,
You're closer to Hogwarts.
Absolutely. So, but yeah, no, awesome.
Well, shall we get down into some news for, again, as always, people who listen know, we're not going all the way back to the news from September 3rd or whatever it was when we last podcasted, but just the recent stuff that's still making headlines. And of course, for both us personally and for the world, one of those big things is Dune. So Johnny, bring us up to speed. It's out there in the wild, not in America yet, but somewhere, and it's doing pretty well, right?
Yeah, I mean it's this has been a fun couple of weeks on the Dune front. It's been crushing it. Like it's been, I mean, it's a very long, complicated prelude to this point, of course, pandemic and all. But I think, I more than anyone have been really pushing the Dune train. And
you're the conductor of the Dune train, Johnny.
I am essentially
don't sell yourself short.
And and I think that but the vast majority of people, Twitter check marks and all those people included, have been very, very much bearish on the prospects of Dune as a commercial enterprise, and as a successful film and potential franchise to grow up from. So I'm just like, I am just really eating this up. Like I'm
slowly watching them all, like after being very hesitant, they're all like, Dune is legit. And you're like, we've been new.
Yeah, we have, and the numbers are undeniable. It's coming in hot. It overperformed, opening weekend in like all the territories, pretty much like literally territory by territory, day by day, had bigger numbers than any projections had. And then this last weekend, that just wrapped up, it again exceeded expectations, overperformed, had a fantastic like hold. Didn't drop too much. Word of mouth seems to be super strong, especially for like a sci-fi film, a like headier, Denis Villeneuve sci-fi film. So it's looking great. There's a lot of optimism, a lot of reason to be excited. Part 2 seems to be very much in play, I would say. And of course, there are still like 30 plus markets that are, major markets that are still to come later in October, at the time when it comes out in the US. And then of course China and the UK and a bunch of other, major places like that. So yeah, I'm just chilling, enjoying the ride. More and more people are seeing it. They're doing a bunch of industry screenings. People of all sorts, directors, costume designers, actors, SAG, BAFTA, you name it. They're all doing these screenings, and they have Villeneuve like in attendance doing Q&A and other cast and crew. So that's really cool to see as well. And it seems like everyone like loves it, and everyone's going crazy about it on social media and whatnot. So that's promising as well, especially with regards to its awards prospects, which we've talked about at length on the show before as well, and we'll get into of course throughout the season ahead. But yeah, so early, but so good as well.
Yeah, I mean, compared to you, obviously had always been super high on it, but there was still like that it could, not everyone is a Johnny Sobchak, it could not go over, be as well received, but everything seems to be, best case scenario so far. So I know you're very pleased with that, and as am I, as we're still about a month away from getting to check it out on the big screen.
Yes, and yeah, it's coming up. I feel like with all the movies we have between now and then, it's probably gonna fly by. But yeah.
Well, I will say, so we have now been like the North Carolina folks, North Carolina Film Critics Association folks have now been added to the Atlanta screening list because, like some movies they just do like the top 10 cities versus going like, I think Charlotte is like in the top 15 maybe, or they just got in top 15. So if you were to get the invite to Atlanta, how quickly are you driving down there? That's like a guaranteed thing, or what?
I mean, I feel like there's a lot of variables there. I mean, of course I would be
put in that PTO, head down there.
Yeah, I mean, I'd be more than interested. But yeah, that remains to be seen. And of course, these companies and these invites and whatnot are very I don't know how I would describe it. That they're all over the place, I guess might be one way to say it. So I definitely am not keeping my fingers too tightly crossed for that, but we'll see.
Well, I know we've flirted the idea in the past, but a GoFundMe could be possible to get Johnny down to maybe fly him to Europe to check it out. But
yeah, that would definitely be possible. And honestly, I because press screening is something that we have been, I've been at least thinking about with regards to Dune for a long time, just because I knew it's a possibility. But honestly, I have not really put too much like stake in that for whatever reason. Like I wouldn't really care like if I didn't get to go. Like I'm
and
totally
also those usually are not like on the IMAX screen. I've maybe been to 2 that were in like a Dolby theater, but for the most part they're just like normal, like regular movie screen, and I know that's not the experience that Dune deserves. So
yeah, so that would be strange. And also like I don't mind. I'm just ready to get in there like opening night, like with a crowd, and feel the energy and whatnot. I feel like press screenings, again, they can be, because the people that go, I mean, they love movies, obviously, otherwise they wouldn't be there. But it's a different energy for sure.
Right. Well, let's move on. We could talk Dune all night, but let's move on. New trailer dropped today for the latest Paul Thomas Anderson, not Soggy Bottom. We're talking Licorice Pizza. And we have a trailer for it. What are your thoughts, Johnny? I know this is far more, I mean, I watched the trailer. It looked good. I'll check it out. I'm excited for it. But, I don't have that phantom thread that there will be blood. He did There Will Be Blood, right?
Yes.
Okay, just had to confirm. But I know you and Jake and Josh are always talking about it. I don't have the history, so I sit those conversations out. But thoughts?
Yeah, this is I had seen this already because it was leaked online. They've been showing this trailer for like weeks now in theaters, some repertory screenings in LA and I think in London as well. So I had seen it. already, but it was nice to see it in HD and with the proper sound and everything. It looks good. I mean, I spoke about it a little bit in the chat. Like, it's hard to really gauge. I mean, you never with PTA. He's so talented, and he's he's such a big name and has such a impressive resume. It's hard to really wrap your head around whatever he's going to do next. I mean, it could be one of his best. It could be something more in the middle, but he doesn't really have like a bad movie necessarily. So it's going to be good. It's just how good can it be? And this looks fun. I mean, it looks very light. It looks very like kind of like joyful and fun. There Will Be Blood is like my favorite of his, and I think it's like one of the greatest films ever made. That is like a very completely different type of movie. And even Phantom Thread, which is also definitely up there for me and a very close second, like as far as PTA films go, I feel is also like that's a pretty dramatic, like fairly serious movie. I mean, but PTA, he injects humor into all of his movies to various degrees, and they're always well acted and everything. It's gonna be interesting to see him, Daniel Day-Lewis, the greatest actor of all time, going from a movie starring him to starring, a couple people who have never been in a movie before. Like, they have not done like feature films. Cooper Hoffman, Philip Seymour Hoffman's son, making his debut, and then also Elena Haim, she's in this as like the female lead. Yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see how that goes. I'm just like trying to keep tempered expectations, I guess, is the real overall feeling here. I like it. I'm just not super excited or like blown away by what I've seen and heard so far. I'm just like ready to see it, whenever we get a chance to.
Well, no date there yet. It just says coming soon to theaters. I know people are, at one point it was expected to be at the end of 2021. Is that still the hope, or is it now a 2022 estimate?
No, this is definitely going to be 2021. I think there was a mention of it being November at one point, like late November. I don't know if that might be like a limited, and then maybe in December it'll be like wide, or maybe it got pushed back. But it'll be out before the end of this year for sure.
Gotcha. Well, that gives me a little bit of time. Maybe I can build up that background before then.
Yeah, for sure.
But another trailer that looked, I would say, stunning was the trailer, the first full trailer for Spencer. We got like a bit of a teaser earlier, but the Kristen Stewart Princess Diana movie from Pablo Larraín, like the movie itself looked very captivating, but like the actual look of it was beautiful. I know you had said that this was an instant best cinematography nominee at the very least, correct?
Yeah, I've been very, very, very excited for this all year, and really since they announced it, because I did like Pablo Larraín's Jackie a lot, which came out, God, like 5 years ago now or something. I haven't seen any of his other films, but he is like, that is a very good movie, and this is very much in that same sort of tragic, historical figure woman, I guess sub genre. But it looks even better than that, and that was a great movie. This looks just beautiful in every respect. The costumes, Jacqueline Duran's designs, Johnny Greenwood's score, which I think we hear a bit of in the beginning of this trailer, who's one of my favorite.
The score is great. Yeah, it turns into like a cover, but yeah, you hear a little bit of the score, and it's great.
And there was a little clip that was released online a few weeks ago that also had some of the score, and it's like a very chaotic, like jazzy. It's just typical Johnny Greenwood. Like, I just really love his. He could potentially win an Oscar for this. Jacqueline Duran, the costume designer, could potentially win an Oscar for this. The cinematography, Claire Mathon, French cinematographer, she should get nominated. I know this branch is like historically terrible at nominating women. They've nominated one in the like 94-year history of the Oscars. That should definitely not be even in question, I feel, but I feel like it will be. And then of course Kristen Stewart, like that's the main showcase. That's like the main talk of the movie. She looks and sounds incredible. Like, I have been
not vocal necessarily. I have commented on it before. I don't think she is the strongest of actors. Like I wouldn't consider myself a fan of hers. And it's not anything to do with the Twilight, stigma or anything like that. Like I recognize that that's a completely far removed
Right.
situation at this point. But other art house films that I have seen her in, I thought she was just like good or like serviceable. She's very much like a lot of the time, a lot of the projects she's taken on, she just kind of plays like a version of herself or just herself. I think to some degree. This, of course, a historical figure as famous as Diana. I mean, she is seemingly perfectly inhabiting that woman, and the accent is so on point, and the look, the hair, and the makeup, it looks great. That's another category I could see it showing up in, for awards. It just all looks like it's coming together in the best way, and this is a great trailer that I think serves it all up on a satisfying platter. So this is, again, I think should be another November release. We're a little over a month away from this, hopefully, and I can't wait. Definitely one of my most anticipated for the remaining months that we have here.
Yeah, I'm very excited for this as well. One that I know you particularly are very thrilled about, that is big news out of the wizarding world this past week when we learned that Fantastic Beasts 3 got its subtitle. That is Fantastic Beasts 3: The Secrets of Dumbledore. And not only did it get a subtitle, but it moved up in release date from June to now April 15th, 2022, which, Potterheads might think that's a good thing, but moving a Harry Potter movie from a summer slot to an April slot, a mid-April slot at that, no bueno. No bueno,
well,
I don't think.
What date is it again?
April 15th, 2022.
It's to be fair, it is Easter weekend. And that is, holiday weekends are always coveted slots. So, those are big money makers most of the time. So that could be, maybe not the biggest indictment. I would say the biggest indictment is that it's Fantastic Beasts 3.
So obviously I started off this podcast talking about loving Harry Potter and going to watch the first movie in theaters and how great of an experience that was. But first Fantastic Beasts was fine. Second one, not great by any means. I know certain friends of ours like despise it with a passion. I wouldn't go that far, but it was not good. So I'm still just hoping for the best here, hoping we can have a minor setback for a major comeback. I will say the best part of this announcement, though, was the hidden replies to the announcement tweet. Because the Secrets of Dumbledore, obviously Dumbledore is a gay wizard. And so people were running with that information and interpreting that in a different way.
In graphic ways.
Very graphic ways. So if you need a good laugh while you're listening to the podcast, you can go pull up that announcement tweet, click the little side button that says hidden replies, and
it's a laugh for sure. I just have nothing good to say about this. So maybe I just shouldn't say anything.
So nothing at all. There we go. Let's keep it moving. Last piece of news. This was, it seems that everybody is trying to get into a with Comic-Con being gone for a while and then the DC fandom being such a great event, Netflix wants in, and they had their big event this past weekend called Tudum, which is of course
damn it.
Well, no, I was going to set you up for that because you just did it so well. Johnny, what is it called?
Tudum.
Because that's the sound that you hear when you start a Netflix original. But a few quick pieces here to touch on. Stranger Things season 4, we got a little teaser for it. 2022 is the date for it. Did you watch this teaser? Did you get to check it out?
I skimmed it.
Okay.
I have not seen season 3, to be clear.
Okay, yeah, then no worries there. Don't watch the teaser. I will say, for those who have seen season 3, the teaser wouldn't even spoil anything because it's very it starts off with like this like 1950s 1940s style like family moving into a house, and then it seems like something goes wrong in the house. The lights are flickering, connections to the upside down, and maybe this family is like tragically like murdered or something in the house.
Man.
And that was very much like, am I watching American Horror Story right now, when
Right.
the teaser started, and then it cuts to like modern day, and the gang is like breaking in and
Modern day, quote
investigating.
unquote.
Well, modern day in the Stranger Things timeline. But yeah, really, no, it raises more questions than it answers. Nothing given away whatsoever. So 2022, we don't know if that's early, if it's late. It was originally supposed to be in 21 before the pandemic. So hopefully for the Stranger Things fans out there, that will be early 2022. I know that's what I'm hoping for. But we also got a very, very curious scene from Adam McKay's Don't Look Up. The star-studded Leonardo DiCaprio, Jennifer Lawrence, climate change movie, comedy, question mark. But it was a sequence in which they were going to visit the White House and deliver this news that the world is going to be affected by a catastrophic comet. And it was not good. Not good, Bob.
Yeah, it's again, I tweeted about it. It looks just this bad. It's just bad. I mean, I did not like Vice at all, really, which was unfortunate because I was actually quite looking forward to it. I love Christian Bale, and you know he's still good in that movie. Like it's a pretty great performance, very transformative, of course. But it's just like The Big Short. I think I haven't seen it since theaters. I think that's probably still a good movie.
Nor have I.
It takes on a very different sort of narrative and like topic, whereas Vice was definitely more in like the satirical kind of vein. And this looks like to be fully, because this is a this is a fictitious like story. Like this is just
Right.
made
Well,
up.
that's the thing. Like I was hoping, obviously Adam McKay has the insane comedy background with Will Ferrell, like the Anchorman movies, the Step Brothers, the other guy. Like, so when we heard like, oh, it's a comedy, it's about the world ending, it's got this star-studded cast, like I was hoping for more like that style of humor, but this just seems to be no style of humor.
Yeah, it's just not. Well, I said this before because we got a teaser trailer already for this. And we know that that trailer gave me very much the same feeling of this clip, which could be edited strangely and all that, which I'm sure it was. But also
The music.
if you want to, yeah, the music is weird. If you want to show something off and give people a good impression, don't edit your clip to the point of parody. Like, let's do it the right way if you want people to actually get the right feeling from it. But overall, yeah, this does not look good. It does not look funny. The acting is all like kind of like flippant, kind of weird, not really like a ton of talented people, of course, in this clip. Oscar nominees, Oscar nominated winners. But it just doesn't feel like it coming together in any sort of like cohesive, like genuine way. And that's a bummer. I mean, I was never looking forward to this. I was very skeptical from the start. Still could end up being a good movie. Maybe it'll actually be hilarious. Maybe it'll actually be very clever and all that. But everything we've seen and heard so far does not inspire confidence in me, at least.
Big bummer. Well, a couple more, not that we're going to dive into any of these, but I wanted to mention them since there are things that we've touched on in the past, but a couple other highlights, I guess you could call them that, from this Tudum event. Extraction 2. I know Jake and I reviewed the first one back last year. That's the Chris Hemsworth action film. And they're trying to make that the hashtag Rake Lives, as if that's going to catch on the internet. It was like this clip basically at the end of the movie. I don't know if you watched it, Johnny. He gets killed and like falls over the bridge and sinks into water. And then like, so it basically just showed that clip again. And then it went to him at the bottom of the water and his like eyes open and he swims back up, and then it goes hashtag Rake Lives. And I was like, okay, whatever. And then we also got some teasers for Army of Thieves, the follow-up to Army of the Dead, and then another new clip for Red Notice. So, in terms of like how this stacks up to something like a DC fandom, I would say just total got like swept, nowhere to be compared, not even on the same
Oh
scale.
yeah, no, not even close. I mean, yeah, DC fandom, they're about to run this again in a few weeks. I just can't wait. I mean, you know, I think it's cool that these companies are trying to do this stuff because it's for the fans. But you gotta come correct. You gotta do a little bit better. At least
And also
for
this
Netflix.
Netflix thing had like so much, like we just talked about 5 things from it, and it had like, I got 3 emails about like the 3 different hours, and it had like laundry list of different content to cover. So it was just like so spread out. Like I didn't watch
That's
any of
the
the
issue.
5.
I feel
I just
at
saw it
least with
all.
Netflix, like it's too much. Like they're so oversaturated, and they just do so much to try and overwhelm people with content that it doesn't. So much of it doesn't land. I feel like their batting average is not, great.
Well,
But-
let's go ahead and keep talking Netflix here as we get into our fall TV preview. So we are now here with Avery Thompson, friend of the podcast, longtime supporter, fellow Tar Heel. Avery, our TV expert, how are you?
I am great. It's Monday, in the midst of big premiere week, and the rest of October is going to be nuts, but it's going to be a ride.
Well, we're excited to have you here. For the listeners at home, Avery is the entertainment director. Is that correct?
Yes.
At Hollywood Life, member of the Television Critics Association. So she's big time. That's why we're bringing in the big guns to talk TV, since this isn't mainly a movie podcast. We needed some backup. But what we're going to do here is go month by month, from starting now with like what's currently on TV. That'll count for September. And then we'll go through the end of the year, talk about different shows that are coming out. And then at the end of the month, we'll each pick one that we are most excited about. So I guess it could be considered like a top 4 list. But getting things started right now, I'll go ahead and kick it off with Survivor, because I don't know. I know Johnny doesn't. I tried to convince
shocker.
him. I tried to convince him. Avery, have you ever watched? We're 41 seasons in.
I've never watched Survivor, ever. Reality is not my scene.
I know, but still,
Feel it.
Survivor. I've been born and bred. I've auditioned. It's my favorite show. I've forced my friends into a Survivor fantasy league, and it's not like Bachelor fantasy where like it's through ABC. Like I made it. Like I made points and spreadsheets to make this, and we had a draft. But so season 41 kicked off last week. It was the first in 400 something days due to the pandemic, and very, very exciting. I'm a little nervous because everything is like different. They're trying to revamp it into a whole new show, but the cast seems solid, and in reality TV, that's always the most important part. So I'm very excited. Every Wednesday night from now through whatever, catch me at 8 o'clock on CBS. And I know that at least one of our listeners, Michelle Lawler, will be joining me. So that's mine. I know Avery, there's a big one coming up, or I guess that has arrived, that Mike Flanagan himself approves of your commentary.
I mean, Midnight Mass, like I said, I tweeted about
No
this.
spoilers, because we
I did not grow up in a religious household. My mom and my dad were very much like, you can pick your own views, do what you want, all that stuff. So I was really disillusioned by it from a very young age. Midnight Mass was just such an incredible just enlightenment, in a sense of just like diving into an area that I hadn't really explored that much. And I mean, the performances, I'm so glad Zach Gilford finally got something where he got to be really, really good. I mean, he hasn't been this good since Friday Night Lights, and even then he was so
Matt
young.
Saracen, baby.
So good. And Kate Siegel literally can do no wrong. I mean, she's incredible in this. And I know you haven't watched yet, Zach. But
I've watched. So last night I watched the first episode and then started the second one, and then Rebecca fell asleep like maybe 15 minutes in, and I was like, this is not one where like you can fall asleep and I can fill you in. Like we got to stay watching this. So it was I've got a ways to go.
All I'll say is Kate Siegel delivers one of those signature Mike Flanagan monologues, and it's incredible. It explores so many different things, you know, faith, addiction, recovery, forgiveness, all of that, and that's sort of the magic of Mike Flanagan, I think, is that he dives into such human horrors and human emotions.
Well, 'cause Johnny and I are both like huge fans of Hill House. And then he wasn't as high on Bly Manor. I still really enjoyed Bly Manor. I think you were in the middle camp there, Avery. But and then I liked why can't I think of it right now? The Shining sequel. What was it called? Dr. Sleep. Liked Dr. Sleep as well. But everything that I've seen on social media, I've tried to avoid it, is saying that Midnight Mass is like his best thing ever. So being a fan of those other ones, like that's pretty high praise.
I listen, Hill House will always hold like the utmost special place in my heart. But I think overall Midnight Mass just sort of like grips you a little bit harder. Midnight Mass or Hill House just meant a lot to me emotionally. But I mean, Midnight Mass, there's literally not one wrong thing about it. And he's been open about the fact that this is like the show he's always wanted to make. So
well, because I saw the screenshots where it was like from I don't remember what they were sourced from, but 2 of his previous projects, the Midnight Mass book was like an Easter egg in that, and now he's finally making it. So full circle.
So good.
Well, Johnny and I have a lot to unpack in the coming days while we binge that. But another one that right up Johnny's alley, Foundation. I'm very excited for it too. None of us have watched yet, but sci-fi is having a moment, Johnny.
Yeah, it's crazy. Like, what are the odds? It reminds me, I mentioned this on Twitter when the Foundation trailer first came out, but it reminds me of 20 years ago almost now, when the first Harry Potter movie came out, and then like a month later the first Lord of the Rings movie came out, which was just like this huge rejuvenation of like fantasy in the mainstream. And of course those both went on to become like massive successful franchises that people love. And now Foundation is getting this huge big budget Apple TV series, and Dune of course is getting its big feature film, which will hopefully spawn at least one other. So that is interesting, especially Foundation, for like anyone who's not really familiar with it. And I myself am not familiar with it that much. I mean, I haven't read the books or anything. There hasn't actually been a screen adaptation of it yet, but it really is like the foundation of like the genre in like popular like fiction. Like the idea of a galactic like empire, like something, from Star Wars to Dune, like that is found in Foundation, like originally, like that's where it comes from. Like Isaac Asimov, who's also known for like the iRobot, kind of the robot books that he did in those stories. He originated that, and it's pretty crazy now, like all these years later, that's coming out, and it looks pretty amazing. I mean, I was blown away because I guess I just wasn't really expecting like the size, like the scale of everything and the scope of like the story.
Apple's not holding back. Apple's dropping a bag.
And that's what you love to see. Like
they're spending that Ted Lasso money on Foundation.
That's what you love to see. Because if these streamers are all going to be, in the marketplace and competing, and Apple in particular, I mean, they have the cash to splash on stuff like this. I mean, they might as well just go, all in. And so, yeah, I'm really excited. Again, not knowing anything about it, it kind of is a little bit more fun for me as opposed to something like Dune, which I like know a ton about. It's just a very different like kind of mindset heading in, and I'm just excited to just get into the world and see what it's all about. It sounds like these first few episodes are very much going to be kind of just like setting things up. And then I'm curious to see like how the rest of the season plays out. I think it's like 10 episodes or something. So we have,
I feel like it has potential to be like, I feel like these are going to be like the early Game of Thrones episodes where it's like, there's so much like the houses and politics and relationships and stuff that have to be established. But
right.
I'm very excited to dive into this as well. And it's funny, like I didn't know about it at all. And I didn't know that it was even an Isaac Asimov book, but watching Mythic Quest, another show on Apple TV, Plus, they had a throwback, like an episode where it was like a flashback to one of their video game writers, and he was working and like writing with a young Isaac Asimov, and I was like, wow, this is
Wow.
Apple TV Plus synergy going on here.
Yeah. and as excited as I am, and like it looks beautiful, I guess the one thing I'm worried about is that, you know, it's one of those things, there's a reason why they haven't really been able to adapt or tried to even adapt it to this point, is because it is so dense and so much to cover. Hopefully Apple with the money and then the, you know, the series format can kind of capitalize and make it worthwhile. Just, you know, with Dune, I feel like there's just more optimism and reason to be confident because it is Villeneuve and you have someone like so strong kind of at the helm. Whereas with this, it's a show, you have a bunch of different directors and writers and things like that, but fingers crossed.
Well, I'm out of my depth here. Morning show. Are you a fan, Avery?
I am a fan.
Season 2.
I think I've watched most of season 2 and definitely even skipped to the end where I like
Spoilers.
not gonna spoil anything. I mean, as someone who grew up watching like the movie Morning Glory, you probably never heard of it, with Rachel McAdams and Harrison Ford. You should watch it. It's good. The whole morning show, daytime, like newsroom type deal is like straight up my alley. So it's a little chaotic already. There's some messy parts to season 2. It kind of goes off the rails a little bit, but like as someone who has literally like worked in that environment, it makes sense. And I mean the cast, I mean all of them are strong. There's not one wrong person on that show. Greta Lee, I think that's her name. She's joined the cast and she's amazing. She like really holds her own with Jen, Reese, you know, why am I blanking on his name?
Billy Crudup?
Billy, yes, Billy. He's actually
Tar Heel.
grad, yes.
Tar Heel.
But yes, I wouldn't say it's as great as the first season. I don't really enjoy how they try to redeem Mitch, but you know, it's TV. Oh,
Is Steve Carell still in this season?
That's Mitch.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
See, like I said, out of my depth.
Side of the story, and it's like, do we really want to see that? I don't know.
Well, I've been very pleased with everything that I've tried. Like, obviously, Ted Lasso is like the draw with Apple TV Plus, but like everything else that I've like branched off into, I've been very pleased. So, Foundation and The Morning Show are 2 that I want to get into. So, maybe I'll catch up by the end of season 2. But of the, I guess, so we'll go ahead and pick of the current shows or the September shows. Which one's topping your list?
Midnight Mass, no question.
Okay, well, you've already watched it all, so like you can hindsight, you know. Johnny, any thoughts?
Ooh, this is really tough. I feel like Midnight Mass is just a safe bet. But I feel like Foundation has like the most upside, you know, if you get years potentially of good TV out of that.
Okay, so you're just doing a cop out with 2 answers.
Cheating.
Well, most people would likely expect me to say Survivor. I am still, like I said, still hesitant about all the changes this year. I know Midnight Mass is going to be great. I'm already liked what I've seen in 1 episode, so I'm going Midnight Mass as well. So I like the semi-consensus across the board. But moving into October, Avery, I'm going to let you take this one. October 4th on Netflix.
Guys, if you haven't watched On My Block, it is truly one of the best shows on TV. I said it, no joke. It's sort of like an underrated Netflix show that sort of doesn't really get as much attention as Outer Banks or even
It always is. If you ever Google like underrated Netflix shows or like under the radar Netflix shows, like this is always number 1. So
it's amazing. It's a comedy drama about a group of kids in sort of like an urban or just a Los Angeles neighborhood, kind of a rough neighborhood, Free Ridge, and it's sort of how they navigate the highs and lows of high school. I mean, the whole cast is amazing. They made me cry multiple times. I've laughed harder than I've ever laughed. And this cast is really talented and it's super diverse. It doesn't get the recognition it deserves. And just when, you know, final seasons are hard, you know, Game of Thrones, tough to end on a good note, but On My Block is like incredible. It's
so you've watched already?
Oh yeah.
Okay,
Of
I just
course.
had to make, again, for the audience, the big shot. We have to double check there.
And
But
it's quick. Obviously time, we don't have unlimited time to watch things, and a lot of times these 1 hour dramas are like, they're time consuming. I mean, it's
right.
hard to watch like a 10 episode.
Don't talk to me about time consuming when you've got me on the OC right now.
I'm
Four
no.
4 seasons, 27 episode seasons, hour-long episodes. Johnny's heard plenty of me starting every episode like, I'm still watching the OC.
I'm just shocked you haven't watched it yet. It just baffled me. It's essential to being in the TV world. But yes, On My Block is super quick. They're each 30 minutes or less. And it's amazing. Don't miss it. I will praise it every single day for the rest of my life.
Well, a theme of this podcast is Johnny and I both saying that, oh yeah, I'm going to check that out. And then never checking things out because there's so many.
But I hound you until you do.
Okay, that's going to be your next project once I finish the OC. October 15th on Netflix, though. Johnny, I'm sorry that you're just going to sit in silence while we go through these couple, but I don't know if we're legally allowed to talk about this yet. I know we can talk about the hype of season 3 of You, but this is one that I can join the hot shot on, that I've seen season 3 of You. Penn Badgley and Victoria Pedretti are back. It's another batshit crazy season. I think you can tell that much by the trailer, but I think it's still under wraps as far as like actual reactions to it. So
yeah,
I don't think Netflix is listening to our podcast, but
all I'll say is like, just if you think like them having a baby is like, the end of the show, basically, in a sense of like, oh, they're gonna be boring now. Crazy. It's a crazy season.
it is. That was one that I was surprised at how early the screeners for that came out. And Rebecca, obviously living with me, watches the stuff with me. And that's like her perk, like that I bring to the table in our relationship is like early access to media. And she's like, I really like watching shows early with you, but I don't have anyone to talk about with it except for you. So that's me as well. I need to that embargo to lift so we can get these thoughts out there. Talk to me about Dope Sick. What is this?
Dope Sick. Okay, so this is like a very special show to me. I read the book, which is by Beth Macy, like 2 years ago, and I became obsessed with it. I would talk about it to literally anyone. It's about the early days of the opioid crisis, and it's just harrowing. It's the biggest health crisis other than COVID right now in America, I think. And this miniseries really dives into that, and just shows.
Is it like a scripted drama or is it like a docu-series?
It's scripted.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
So stars Michael Keaton, who, near and dear to my heart.
Batman.
The ultimate Batman. He's great, and it's Michael Stuhlbarg, my other man. I call me by your name, man, other than Timmy. It just Peter Sarsgaard, Will Poulter, just Rosario Dawson. It's really, really great. It's something it's hard to watch, but it's important. And I think not a lot of people like to talk about the opioid crisis. So this is something to sort of dive into, and I'm really passionate about it. So it's really good.
We'll have to put that on the radar. I hadn't even heard of that. So October 13th on Hulu. Now, time for the big one. October 17th. What are we all watching at 9:00 on Sunday? Johnny, we can rejoin come off mute. You can rejoin the conversation here.
Succession season 3. Oh my gosh.
Cue that Nicholas Breitel sweet theme music.
I wish I could even attempt to do a decent hum of that. But it's something that I have really just come around to, I guess. I'm trying to remember when I watched seasons 1 and 2. It was
within the last year, right?
Oh yeah, definitely sometime this year. Because I knew, so many people had, been hyping it up, and it won, a bunch of awards. And I don't know why I had been sleeping on it so hard, but I was like, hey, there's nothing else better to do. Might as well, check it out. It's nice because it was just 2 seasons, so it was fairly easy to just kind of get into and get it done. But I'm so glad I did, because it is one of the best shows that I have seen, like by far. I don't know how they balance the comedy and the drama and the amazing cast and all the characters getting, their time to shine, and their relationships with one another. And I am nervous about season 3. Like I don't know why. I mean, the first 2 seasons have both been so good, and the second season was just such a jump from the first season as well. But it's just like, you don't want them to mess up like something that's so good, especially maybe it's probably Game of Thrones, PTSD to some extent. But I think that they are probably on the right track, and I just am very, very curious, especially with the way season 2 left off, to see where the Roy family goes from here.
If anything, like the trailer for season 3 is so insane. Like it seems, obviously it's a trailer, so it's going to show you like the highlights, but like it seems like this season is going to be even more like action packed than the past 2 have been, as the war heats up between the family. I know, Avery, you've gotten a hint of season 3.
Yes. But 2 things. Did I get you to watch Succession, Zach?
I believe so. Yes.
Okay. So you're welcome.
That's another one that I owe you.
But the posters that came out today, I mean, Jerry and Roman, I need to see it.
I can't tell if the sexual tension is more between their poster or between Tom and Greg's poster.
Either or, both. I mean, it just. And then I'm like curious about like Shiv and Connor.
That was like obviously Logan and Kendall was like the obvious pairing, and then the other 2 as well. But I guess is there intention there, or was it just like these are the leftovers for our character posters?
I've always said that like they wouldn't have hired Alan Ruck if they didn't have plans for him. So maybe he does.
That's true. You do see him in the trailer. He's trying to snake his way in there. So he's the one who delivers the Kindle Screwy Roman. I don't even know what he says, but he describes all 3 of the other siblings.
Yeah, that's right.
Well, I think we can go ahead, and I'm safe to speak for everyone when I say that that's the most anticipated for October. We've still got a couple more to touch on. The whole year. It really is. Yeah. It seems silly to talk about the new season of The Bachelorette after that, but living with Rebecca now at this point, this will be our first season together. I'm sure I'll at least be in the room when it is on a Monday evening. But you said not a reality fan. Are you a Bachelorette fan?
My coworker does all the Bachelor Nation stuff, but I at least keep up with Bachelor.
You know the drama, but
yes, yeah.
Okay, well, maybe I'll get pulled into a fantasy league for that one as well. Also, I will say a former Panther. They just announced like the cast today apparently, and a former Panther is on there. So maybe make it. It's nobody who is like a star player or anything. It's a former offensive lineman that we had, but might make it a little hometown feel to it for me. So, and then finally, I had never heard of this until we were doing research for this episode. But Apple TV Plus, October 22nd. It's called Invasion. Apple's really going all in on sci-fi this year. I don't believe there are screeners out for this one yet. But it's basically like some sort of like aliens are not attacking. It's not like a war on Earth, but just like the
invasion.
World. It is an invasion. But like when you say, obviously that's the title of the show. When you say invasion, though, I think like War of the Worlds, like annihilating humans. Yeah. This is like it's not as peaceful as Arrival, I would say, to throw in a Villeneuve reference for you. But it looked, I don't know, because like they have screeners already out for another show we're going to talk about in a second for November, but they don't have one for this in October. And Apple's usually pretty early with their stuff. So I don't know if that's a bad sign or a good sign. Like, I don't know how to read that. But
maybe they're finishing. Like,
yeah, if it is sci-fi, then there could be like more effect heavy rather than like.
That's one thing I was going to mention is I have not heard very much about this either. But I did see like a little bit of footage, like a trailer or something. And
yeah, the trailer just came out this week, I believe.
I mean, the effects and everything, it looks pretty intriguing. So I'm definitely open to checking it out. But yeah, I will be curious to see, the initial reactions and reviews.
if it's good and Foundation hits, then Apple could be
Yeah, they're in business.
climbing the ranks pretty quickly. So we established Succession #1 for October. Moving into November, Avery, you've got a few off the top to get us started with.
Yes. Okay. So Yellowstone season 4 comes back November 7th on Paramount Network. Basically, one of my friends said this once, and I've never forgotten it. Yellowstone is Succession for cowboys. So, and it's again it's like the biggest hit.
It's Kevin Costner, right?
Kevin Costner. It's about it's like a family dynasty out there in Montana, and he's trying to like maintain control of his ranch. And the end of season 3 was like one of the best finales that I'd seen. Like Kevin Costner's character gets shot, his daughter gets blown up, his son is like, there's like a hit on all the families, and it's crazy. Again, underrated show, and it's so good. And the cast is really amazing. And then Dexter New Blood.
Never watched the OG.
I did watch. It's been a while, so I need to do I have time for a rewatch? I don't know. But it comes back November 7th on Showtime. Michael C. Hall is back. I know people obviously when the finale came out in 2013, if you thought Game of Thrones finale was bad, I think Dexter was worse. So they're trying to sort of maybe make everyone forget about that finale. But it picks up 10 years later. Dexter's in a new town. And it's basically sort of how he's trying to navigate his life. And this is already out here. So it's his son. He comes back into the picture. He's now grown up, at least a teenager. So I think that'll add a really fun dynamic for Michael C. Hall.
Is he also a serial killer, the son?
I guess
do we know?
It's TBD. But father like son, maybe. And then Jennifer Carpenter is back as well as the ghost of Deb. I don't think that was supposed to be out there, but then someone mentioned it in an interview, and they had to just say surprise, she's back, even though she's dead. So yeah, both of those shows are going to be basically appointment television in November.
Okay, well, having not seen the first 3 seasons of Yellowstone or any of the previous seasons of Dexter, I may be sitting those appointments out. But one thing I'm very excited for, which again, didn't know about it until prepping for this podcast, The Shrink Next Door, which is what I just alluded to back in October, coming November 12th on Apple TV Plus, and the screeners are already out, so I may need to dive into those. But Will Ferrell, Paul Rudd, I'm in. That's all I need to know. But it's not quite your typical, Anchorman. It's an Anchorman reunion, but it's not Anchorman humor. Paul Rudd is a psychiatrist for Will Ferrell's character, who I don't know if it's depression or what, but he's going to visit this psychiatrist and get help. And then suddenly Paul Rudd's a little sketchy, not sure if he's got the best intentions, but it looks promising. I'm excited to check it out. Like I said, anything with those two guys seems pretty safe to me. And I want to say there was somebody else, another big name in this as well. Catherine Hahn is in it. So, I mean, why don't you just sprinkle some more goodies on top? But any thoughts on that one? Now. Big time.
I haven't heard much about it, to be honest with you. They haven't been promoting it that much. Maybe because it's still a little ways out.
I think, let's see, the trailer came out all the way in June. So
wow. Yeah, I've not.
Maybe that is a bad sign. It's been out for that long and we hadn't heard about it. Only 226,000 views on the trailer since June. So maybe
we'll see.
Well, one thing that I'm sure we all do not need is a second season of Tiger King. That was announced this past weekend in the Tudum event. Do we need to dive into this? Where do we think it's gonna go? Johnny, did you even touch Tiger King, or were you too
Absolutely not? No.
Okay. I mean, we were all at a low point. You had to do it.
Aren't there didn't someone just die from Tiger King?
Yeah. Yes, that does sound like I read about that.
So I mean, maybe he's in it. But I
Well,
mean,
like they didn't even, it wasn't like a trailer, but it was kind of like the like hodgepodge of all of their like true crime stuff. And then like there was a little snippet, like it looks like they're doing interviews with Joe Exotic from prison.
oh Lord.
There was footage of Carol Baskin, but I know she was upset about like she felt scammed by the show the first time. So I doubt she's doing any like interviews. So I just don't know where this story goes from there, because it feels like they did the reunion a couple weeks later with Joel McHale like hosting that. So like I feel like not enough has happened since, at least that we know about.
I agree. I'm not like, I'm sure I'll probably end up having to watch it, but I mean,
I don't
nothing's
think the
really
people are
happened.
clamoring for this. Yeah.
No.
Well, 2 days later, I threw this on here because I thought you might know about it, Johnny. I know I have definitely heard of Cowboy Bebop. Bebop.
Cowboy Bebop.
Bebop.
That is yeah, well, I'm glad you've heard of it.
I've seen T-shirts at Urban Outfitters that have that's probably my biggest exposure to it.
Yeah, so I've watched some of the anime. It's not a very long show, the original anime, but I trailed off for whatever reason. I didn't like continue with it. I did really like what I got to see. It's very like fun and like sci-fi. It is like, far future kind of like sci-fi. But it has like a very fun, like it's like a Western aesthetic and like kind of like storytelling style, which is like a fun kind of mix of styles. And I think this is looking, it's hard to say. I feel like the ratio of good, anime to good live action film is not exactly, historically very good. But I feel like there's a chance that this could be decent. I feel like the people involved seem to like really care about it, like know the source material really, really well. The casting seems spot on. I think it's John Cho in particular as the lead. Spike, like that is like really, I think really like spot on casting. He looks awesome. But we haven't seen any footage yet, really. I mean, we got the little
couple screenshots, right?
Yeah, and we got the opening
weekend.
credits montage with the Tudum release, so that's cool. But we haven't actually seen the show like in action necessarily, and that's not like concerning really. But you do want to see at least a taste of what is to come. Definitely. I would definitely be tuning in. Like I'm interested, and I'm very curious to see also what the reactions are going to be. With critics and with fans of the original show.
Well, we have seen stuff for this final pick in November. We've seen a trailer for Hawkeye kicking off the holiday season, November 24th on Disney Plus. How many do we know? 6 episodes, I believe, following the Loki and the Winter Soldier trend. But Johnny and I have pretty much broken down every Marvel show that's come so far, and reviews are mixed. Some are better than others, but I think we talked about the trailer, at least within our group chat when this first came out, and I was very intrigued by this. I'm excited for it because of the holiday aspect, because of it seems like it's all going to go down in like a 3-day period, which is fun versus like being a long drawn out kind of thing. But it just seems like a Marvel take on Home Alone, which I'm here for. And then you've got, if you're not excited for Jeremy Renner, then at least you've got Haley Steinfeld. You've got the hopeful, I believe it's out there and confirmed that Florence Pugh will be in a couple episodes here.
I hope so.
I know that's your girl, Avery.
My girl. I think so. I don't think it's like confirmed, but it's like.
But like after the ending of Black Widow, like it was all but confirmed. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think Haley is a great choice for Kate Bishop. I mean, she's so great. I mean, I know a lot of people know her for like Pitch Perfect and her music. But she's on a roll with TV. She's excellent in Dickinson.
I did not mention Dickinson, which I believe is December. November.
Which its 3rd and final season premieres in November, and she's amazing in that. And I'm so excited to see her do something different than Dickinson. Listen, I love anything that's like New York winter. I'm down for it. So And even though I'm like, Jeremy Renner, I'll probably still watch it and I'll probably really like it. So
I mean, well, at this point, like, even if it's like they've got their claws like so far in you that like to understand like the Easter eggs, the connections, you've got to. Johnny, what's the verdict here?
Yeah, not really, I guess, what I was expecting. I mean, I knew that there was gonna be like the winter, Christmas element, which is fun. I mean, it's a fun aesthetic. I think anytime you have that setting. Yeah, Haley, she is definitely the biggest draw here. I think it's no secret that Hawkeye himself is not the the coolest Avenger by any means. But yeah, I mean, I'll watch it. I'm sure, I've had mixed feelings about the MCU shows thus far, but I think that this could definitely be one of the better ones if everything goes according to plan. And I am curious, of course, to see how Florence Pugh's Yelena shows up and how she factors into this, and where they leave those characters at the end of the series. I think is also going to be very interesting going forward.
Well, what is the verdict for November? It's not as easy of a pick as the first 2 months we talked about. Avery, I'll put you on the spot first.
I'm gonna go with Yellowstone just because of how season 3 ended. I know everyone's parents probably watch it and you're like, oh, I don't want to watch it.
I'm pretty sure my parents did, or at least they just did.
But it's really that good and you should watch it.
Okay, Johnny.
Yeah, I have heard very good things about that show and I would love to check it out. I need to get on that. This is tough. I'll leave you Hawkeye and say Cowboy Bebop just because I am very curious about that. And I think if it's good, it'll be very good.
Well, it's funny you say that because before our discussion, I watched the trailer and I was like, gonna go with The Shrink Next Door. But then after we kind of like deduced that maybe it's not great, then I guess I'll play it semi-safe and go with Hawkeye. But I'll report back after a couple screeners of The Shrink Next Door. But so we've got Yellowstone, Cowboy Bebop, and Hawkeye for November. So final month here, December. How are we closing the year on television? I threw a couple on here that I'm hoping Avery knows how to talk about them because I have not watched The Witcher and I have not watched Emily in Paris. So I'm going to defer as long as that's okay with you.
The Witcher is obviously stars Henry Cavill. It comes back December 17th on Netflix for season 2. And I think the first season really was like setting the stage for what they ultimately wanted to get to. So I think season 2.
Are you a watcher or are you just well informed?
I have watched, but I am not like Game of Thrones level obsessed. Gotcha. So, and I didn't read the books or do the video games or all of that. But I do enjoy it. It's like one of those like sci-fi or fantasy shows,
medieval fantasy type,
that I do enjoy. I'm just like, I haven't gone down the Reddit rabbit hole yet or like done all my research, but I do enjoy it. Emily in Paris I have not watched, which is shocking.
You at least got some like macaroons sent to you or something, right?
I did not. Wow. I mean, it's from the creator of Sex and the City, which we'll talk about later, and stars Lily Collins. She's obviously Emily in Paris. I heard it wasn't great. It's like one of those shows that you like hate watch. So
everything I heard was like that. This was like, it was almost like a parody of like, not the show itself was a parody, but like people watched it, like you said, hate watch it or watched it as like a cringy joke kind of thing. But then it's like up for an Emmy, like for best comedy.
Well, there's like a whole story behind that.
Oh, we can take that offline if we need to.
But it does come back. Hopefully they'll have like a little bit of a holiday theme since it's coming out so close to Christmas, but we'll see.
Yeah, well, the only one really that I'm able to talk about of this month is the December TBD release date of the Book of Boba Fett. It's not Mandalorian season 3, but instead a spinoff within the spinoff of just following Tamara Morrison's bounty hunter Boba Fett, who obviously came back in season 2 of The Mandalorian. We've got him and Fennec Shand, who are like off to rule Jabba the Hutt's cartel, it seems. I don't know. Johnny, I know you're a Mandalorian watcher. You're a fan. Avery, are you in the Mandalorian hive?
I have not watched The Mandalorian yet.
Whoa.
I know.
But Baby Yoda.
I know.
Wow.
Well, This is a no-brainer for me, being the one that I'm most excited about, since it's the only one I can talk about. But beyond that, like, Johnny knows that he may be the sci-fi guy, but I'm the Star Wars guy. So I'm very excited to check this out. Boba Fett was always one of those characters that was so literally like thought of as like the most badass person ever, and he was in like 3 scenes in the original Star Wars movies, and one of them he was like killed in, or we thought he was killed in, and he went out very sad. So we got to see him in action in Mandalorian season 2. We'll get to see him even more front and center here. So, and it'll probably set the stage for Mandalorian season 3. Who knows? But very excited for that. TBD on the date, but it is confirmed to be coming in December. And Avery, bring us home. What's final on the docket?
I mean, there is no show that I am probably, other than Succession, that I'm looking forward to the most, other than And Just Like That. It's the Sex and the City revival. There's a lot going on. It's Carrie, Miranda, Charlotte in their 50s. Obviously,
there's a 4th one, right? That did not come back.
So Kim Cattrall, Samantha will not be back, but I have a theory. I'm still holding out hope that she makes a cameo. Okay. Because it just logistically, in terms of the storyline, it does not make sense to not have Samantha. But anyway, it's the thing about Sex and the City and Just Like That is that it sort of is going to be so massive for HBO Max, because it, like, the fans of that show are like 3 different generations. It's Gen X, you have Gen Z, you have millennials, all in one, who watch this show at different periods of their lives. So even without Kim, it's still going to be great. And I know that they'll end up paying tribute to Willie Garson, who died last week, which was really sad. And he did film some scenes.
Is this because I know HBO Max did like the Friends reunion, which was just like a one-off special. They're doing the Gossip Girl reboot right now. Like, is this like a full-on reboot? Is it a limited thing? Is it what is happening here?
It's basically just like a continuation of the series. It's just, it picks up
for one season, or is it going to then continue on? Do we know?
I mean, I can tell you right now, it's going to be probably the biggest thing on HBO Max. So I would say a 2nd season is almost a guarantee.
Okay, I didn't know if they were coming back with the intention of like, we're closing the book with these 6 episodes or something like that.
They wouldn't come back if they were going to do it for just like 6 episodes.
Gotcha.
Like, they're in it to keep doing it.
Gotcha.
But it's going to be amazing. And there's the whole like, will Mr. Big die? And they film all over New York, and I've seen Sarah Jessica Parker. Oh my gosh, I can't wait. It's going to be amazing.
Well, Johnny, I know you're thrilled for that one too. So do I even need to ask you what December show you're most excited about?
Yeah, I'm gonna have to go with Boba Fett on this one. And I'm not even crazy about Star Wars, but I want to know more about as much as I like Mandalorian, I want to see some more of that world right now.
Yeah, that has been, I believe, your favorite of anything since the Disney acquisition of Star Wars. So
anything Star Wars, yeah.
So again, Boba Fett for me. Avery, you answered the question already with And Just Like That. So to summarize, Succession season. That's all we need to. That's all we need to worry about.
Yeah, if I could only get one of these, absolutely Succession.
I mean, honestly, if it was just Succession reruns on every network and on every streamer, I'd be sad.
Be okay. I do want to squeeze in a rewatch before October, so got to get on that. I've got a couple weeks. Well, Avery, thank you. This was a blast. I'm sure we'll hopefully be having you back for more TV and movie discussion, but thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Well, also thank you to everybody for tuning in. Thank you to everybody for listening. All the support. We wouldn't be able to do it without you.
Yes, thank you so much, Avery, for joining us. Thank you all for listening, and make sure to follow us on social media. Stay tuned and stay up to date with what's going on with the show. You can follow us on Twitter, Instagram, like us on Facebook, subscribe on YouTube, where we post all the episodes, and those accounts can be found at Inside Film Room.
And while you're at it, be sure to subscribe, rate, review wherever you get your podcasts. We're on Apple, Stitcher, Spotify, Google, Amazon, iHeartRadio, whatever you listen on, we are there. And come back next week. We'll be taking a look back at Daniel Craig and James Bond in preparation for the long-awaited release of No Time to Die. We will see you then.
Thank you.